Hey everybody, it's Matt Johnson. We are back with another episode of Real Estate Uncensored. This is the place where you get actionable insight, inspiration, and actionable insight and something else. Anyway, to turn your real estate career into a life of freedom. That was an epic fail for today. But you're also going to learn how to become the rock star agent in your market. And we have an amazing, amazing special guest with us today. And then we have some other people that I'll bring them in here in a second. But we're going to have a lot of fun. We're talking about how to overcome rejection and go for no. That book, Go for No, has been one of our favorites. If you've listened to the show for any length of time, you probably heard us wax poetic about it and how amazing the concepts are and how to apply them to real estate. We actually have the co-author, Andrea Waltz, with us today. We'll bring her in a second. But first, my illustrious colleague, my co-partner in all crime and apparently all real estate and life and business-related disasters, as we've had an interesting last couple of days, Greg McDaniel. Greg, how are you?
What up, playa? Oh my God, man! We got Andrea on here. I'm like starstruck. I'm like, oh my God, I get to talk to Andrea, the co-author of one of my favorite books that's transformed my business mindset, and I get to hang out with her. So you guys had better get out your pen. She's gonna drop some knowledge. She's gonna talk about the origin of the book, which is actually very funny, and I'm really glad I asked. And dude, okay, so here's something. Now, any of you guys that are following me on social media, you guys know that I achieved one of my life goals 2 days ago. I was able to go out and buy my Jeep Grand Cherokee SRT8. And after an epic video recording session failed that Johnson and I attempted yesterday at the Grand Master's house, we just took a drive out to the Central Valley and got lost in Countryville, Hickville area. But it was awesome. It's where my blood comes from, and that's a part of me, but I'm excited to be refreshed and here because we got amazing guests. So Andrea, welcome. Bald Ninja, welcome back. And Andrea, welcome to the show. It's such a great honor to have you.
Thank you so much, you guys. I am so excited to be with you today. This is awesome.
Oh good. Thank you. Just made my day.
And we have the Volpinator, the evil bald ninja, with us here as well. Gene, how are you today?
I am so good. How are you guys and ladies?
Good, man.
Doing
good.
Awesome.
I get to drive a new car today. Woohoo!
Yeah, I thought you were going to talk about something else when you were talking about that big life goal.
No, I didn't get married because that's not a life goal.
No shotgun weddings.
That's not what I meant. Here's what I meant. Can you see that?
Oh God.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
The fanny pack photo? Oh,
yes. If the viewers haven't seen this yet, I suggest they jump over to Matt Johnson's page and just check this out because it made my week. I know that.
Yes, that's right. Anybody listening on iTunes or Stitcher, what Gene is referring to is the epic photo that I found and posted of Greg with 80s stonewashed jeans and was it fanny pack? It's epic fanny pack. So first of all, I want to make sure that we get plenty of time to go into something with Andrea real quick. So Andrea, just for those that might not know kind of where you're coming from and your background, even though we've talked about the book a lot, can you share just a little bit about kind of who you are and what you and your husband do?
Yes. Well, I spend pretty much day and night talking about the word no, which some people might think just sounds really strange. But yes, I've created a whole business. We have created a whole business around helping people overcome their fear of failure and rejection, basically reprogram the way they think about the word no, because it stops a lot of people. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, it stops so many people. I absolutely love it. And we do it by sharing a counterintuitive philosophy, which is not to avoid hearing the word no, but to go for no, to hear no more often, how to do it, why to do it, and everything in between.
You know what? When I actually first had this concept introduced to me, I was a little like, I'm not so sure about this idea. But then I put it into action. It was unreal how it changed the way I had an outlook on everything. I legitimately looked forward to every no or F off or whatever else I got, because then I was achieving my goals. I was actually meeting my goal that I set for the day. And it just radically transformed. It was amazing how it worked, and how you're talking about the rewards for the most F offs and the most sales are, basically the exact same winner in the book because you change your mindset and how to move forward with it. It was awesome. So yeah, can't tell I'm excited.
I love that you said that, Greg. And that is really how you go from wearing stonewashed jeans and a fanny pack to being the successful guy that you are today. That is how you do it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it. Oh, before we get to Gene and his tech tip, Andrew, I want to talk to you a little bit about setting no goals. And what do you mean by what is a goal for no?
Right. So one of our main strategies, the way that you can implement Go for No in your business, is to set what we call no goals. And of course, I don't mean not to set goals, but I mean to set a goal for the number of no's you're going to hear in a given day or week, sometimes month. Week is probably best. And this is something actually that my husband and I did when we launched our business. We set yes goals, like everybody, goals for the number of yeses we wanted in our business. That was fine. We wanted 4 yeses per month, basically, which was for our business, speaking and training. So it was getting booked. And we would get the 4 yeses. Sometimes we'd get lucky in the early part of the month. And then we would, for the rest of the month, basically do nothing. I mean, we'd just kick back and be like, all right, we're done. We got the 4 yeses. Our income was always at the same level, which was weird, but that was because, of course, we were entrepreneurs and we were setting it. Surprise. And then we said, what if we set a goal to have 100 companies say no to us each month? What would the business look like then? And so we said, all right, don't worry about the 4 yeses. Just have 100 companies say no to us each month and let the yeses happen when they happen. And that's what we did. And we had more business than we knew what to do with. So one of our core strategies is that we teach people, set a no goal, go out and get, whatever, 5 no's this week, 10 no's this week, 25 no's this week. Challenge yourself. Don't worry about the yeses. Just hear more no's. And you could do it in a wide variety of categories, or you could just do it in, prospecting. It's yours to use, and you make it work for your business. But the point is, don't worry about the yeses. Get out there and get into action and start hearing more no's.
How long did it take for you guys to see a radical transformation in your business from setting, okay, I want to get 1 appointment today or 5 appointments a month or whatever else, to going for those 100 no's? How fast did that turn around and you guys see an explosion in your business?
It was like 60 days. For us, it was ridiculous. And I see a lot of people transforming their business that way because they, we all tend to focus on our yes goal and hitting quota, right? And so it's just like, oh, we hit quota, we're good, we're comfortable, instead of saying, okay, so I got 4 yeses, big deal. How many more yeses could I get if I just went out there and heard more no's? And so what you do is your assumptions start breaking down. You stop prejudging people. All kinds of great stuff happens because you're just focused on getting no's. It becomes very interesting.
In the book, when, we'll jump into that a little bit later, but in the beginning, I know that the subject of the book is actually your husband, which I find very, very funny. One of the most powerful points, and I want you to go deeper on this a little bit, is our mindset. We have a blockage because we feel at a certain point when we're talking about the suit sales, which you'll explain, much better than I can. But we have a feeling, a subconscious part of us says, well, I can't work with this client or ask or work in luxury markets or anything else because I don't look like them, or I've never spent or bought something that expensive. So you stop yourself. I want to see how the character and maybe your husband got over that hump, because I get asked a lot of how do you work in luxury markets? How do you door knock? How do you call in luxury marketplaces? And I would love to unlock that mentality of just going, fuck it, I'm just going to go for everybody and they're going to love me, and I'm just going to go until someone tells me no.
Yeah, that's okay, Greg. So that's a great question, and I will try to answer it as succinctly as I possibly can. So in the scenario in the book, the main character, his boss, basically asks him after he has this $1,100 sale, hey, that's a great sale, but out of curiosity, what did that customer you were helping say no to? And the main character in the book, Richard, in this case, it was a story that happened to my husband, says, what did he say no to? What are you talking about? I had this amazing sale. He said yes to everything. And then Harold, his mentor, says, well, then how did you know he was done? And for Richard in that moment, he realized he knew he was done because he had hit his mental spending limit. And Richard says this all the time when we speak together live. He always says, I didn't go, I didn't ever spend $5,000 on clothes in my life or $10,000, but here I was selling clothing for a living. And to me, when you hit $1,000, you're done. So to your point, how do you kind of break through that is, well, the first thing is you have to first identify what your mental spending limits are and what your mindset is. So if whatever business you're in, like for example, if you were selling cars and you said, what's like the most expensive car you could imagine spending? And if it's $100,000, well, that's your limiting number. So it's identifying what your limiting numbers are and then saying, my limiting numbers can't be my customers' limiting numbers or my prospects' limiting numbers. You have to get that out of the way. The only thing that matters in terms of, quote, expensive or what's a lot to spend on something is on your customer, right? Is your client, is your prospect. It's what they think. And so you have to get those things out of the way. One of the things that we find is helpful, though, is to identify, because we all have those numbers. What's a lot of money to make in your business? What's a huge commission for you? Well, that's your number. That's your limiting number. You have to identify that.
Do you ever desensitize yourself to that number? How can someone just, I mean, it's very easy to say, well, just work past it, just move past it. But how do you do that? Let's say someone is working in an area that's maybe $150,000, $200,000, right? And that's their average marketplace. We'll just use Omaha, Nebraska, Matt, right? And then how could you move to the $1 million or $2 million bracket without feeling lower class, subpar? I mean,
right.
Is there a shift? Is there a ninja move in there, or am I just kind of just throwing you for a loop?
I don't know if there's necessarily a ninja move except to be aware of it. And the awareness is, I think, a big part of it. Because I think a lot of people operate and they come up with reasons why they don't want to work with a particular market. If you can identify and say, this is my limit. This is my upper tier of what I think is a lot of money, or what I think is a big market, or what's all of those numbers. The ninja move basically is to just be aware of it and to move forward through it anyway. Because the reality is you could talk about it all day long, right? That is one of the reasons why I love no goals, is because it actually kind of forces you into action. So instead of coming up with all the excuses why you can't work in that particular market, you just go for it. You get that no, you celebrate it. There's no way to, there's no ninja move to kind of, I think, deal with those numbers except throw yourself into the deep end.
So the funny thing is that once I read your book, I literally threw out my mentality because it was so inspiring, and so I wanted to test your theory, right? So I read the book on a Saturday or Sunday. The next Monday, because I do live outbound cold calling prospecting stuff, I said, okay, guys, this is my challenge. I'm going to go for 25 no's in 1 hour. Let's see how fast I can get through them. And I started marking them down, and it was transformational. When I got the no's, I was so excited. I'm like, oh, thank you. We're being a dick. Boom, number one. And I moved right through them. And I got slightly irritated when someone's like, well, yeah, I am thinking about something. I'm like, no, shut up. No, you don't. You do not want to do. Okay, you do. Okay, well, let's do that. But you just set me back on my goal for the day, okay?
That's awesome. I love that story, and it is transformational. And I have to tell you, we have heard that a lot. We've heard great stories of people who were setting a no goal and almost hit it, and then got derailed because somebody told them yes at the last minute.
It's like,
those
come on,
jerks.
Oh.
I had a couple of guys hit me up, and they heard me doing this stuff. They went and read your book, and they became partners in the office to do calls and stuff like that. And they literally sit back to back, and then when they get an epic F off, the other one turns around like, high five, nice one, all right, keep going. And they made it a game. And so, I mean, totally. I'm not That's sure awesome. That if you know that, but in real estate, this concept is tremendously impactful, and it changed the way that people view prospecting, because that word no is so powerful in my mind. But when you've showed us how to flip it and turn it into a positive, off the charts, amazing good stuff.
That's right.
That's awesome. I love that.
All right. Well, let's take a step back for a second because I want to make sure that we give Gene a little space to share a tech tip before we summarily kick him off the show. And he doesn't get a word in edgewise. He's very attentive, like he's paying attention. He's engaged. I know he has a ton of questions. But Gene, what do you have for us in terms of a tech tip today?
So I do have a question. I want to know how many no's do you get for a restraining order? I'm asking for a friend. I'm asking for a friend. Does that count?
There's a fine line between go for no and stalking, Gene. So
okay. Yeah. It wasn't for me. It's not for me. It was for somebody else. Right? I swear.
Oh my gosh. That's fun.
So real quick, and then I'm gonna get out because I'm actually looking forward to logging off here and listening to this show because I love the whole go for no concept. So I have two things. They kind of go lockstep. One is your scheduler for text messaging. And so for me, I have Verizon services, and they have an app called Message Plus. And also, you guys familiar with Boomerang for Gmail?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I know these are probably things that have been going on for a while, and some people know about it, but maybe some don't. They both give you the ability to schedule out in advance emails, and actually the Boomerang will let you schedule out in advance your emails, but also set up reminders so you can kind of clear your inbox for stuff that you're not taking care of right now and set it to pop back up in 2 days or 6 days or 8 days, right? And then the other one is Verizon Message Plus, which is great. And I know AT&T and Sprint probably have their own version of it. But I want to give you the reason why I bring it up is because I use it all the time, and there's two reasons. Number one is when I set an appointment with somebody, one of the steps I go through is I set up the day before a text message to remind them and say, hey, are we still good for tomorrow? And I do the same thing with email. And I'm going to tell you, it's first of all, it looks fairly professional, right, because you're on top of it. But I can tell you on countless amount of times where I've gotten a response from them saying, yeah, we're still good for tomorrow at noon. And I go, oh, shit, well, what was I supposed to do tomorrow? And you forget because it wasn't on my calendar. So it's actually saved my ass a couple times. I'm not going to lie to you. So
gosh.
I'll set that up. I mean, listen, we all make scheduling mistakes, right?
No.
We do. You make
no.
You probably don't. And I'm actually really, really good at that. Like I'll say to my wife, if it's not on my calendar, don't include me in it. I'm not there. I'm really good at that. But once in a blue moon, something happens, you get caught off guard. So the text messages and the Boomerang thing is a really nice way to save your butt and to set things up for the future. So,
I love this tip because what it does is it empowers our viewers, especially those who have taken the McDaniel Challenge and have Greg's cell phone number, to schedule texts for let's say 2, 3, 4 a.m. with helpful motivational phrases to get Greg out of bed nice and early. I think that would be fantastic. So
let me do this. If anyone does that, I will publish Matt Johnson's cell phone on everything that I do. Try it, Johnson.
All right.
You're fucked if that happens.
You'll be getting a text message from me tonight at 2:30 then.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Gene. So how can people reach you and learn more about you?
You know the old jingle, GeneVolpe.com. Yeah. Right? GeneVolpe.com.
All right. Remember to go for no, and that means Gene's going to be raising his fees shortly. So everybody jump on that before they go up.
Gene, you know what we should do, dude? We should Listening. I said doo-doo. Get one of these things, not the F-off thing, but get one of these buttons that every time someone buys it, it goes, GeneVolpe.com.
I love that idea.
Jingles. That'd be like a marketing idea for you. There it is. That's your marketing idea from Greg for the day.
Love it. I'm so glad that, and I love how that said STFU on it.
I would. But it does say FU in multiple different voices and styles, but I'm not going to play this because it's a kid
that's
show.
Fantastic. That's a kid show. Well, listen, you guys have fun, Andrea. Don't let these guys beat you up too bad, right?
Hey.
I think I'll be okay.
Job.
I am quite sure you will be.
No,
I know you will be. Enjoy the rest. I know I will.
All right. Thanks, Gene.
Man. All right, buddy. I'll play later.
So Andrea, before we dive a little bit deeper, how do people kind of learn more about Go for No and really connect, not just with the book, because obviously they can get the book on Amazon, things like that, but how do they connect with you guys and stay on top of what you guys are doing and what you're putting out there?
We make it very easy. Everything is Go for No. Everything. It's so it's GOFORNO.com. Go for No. All our social media is there, which awesome. I love. Big social media fan.
Good. Well, I want to dive in. back into kind of the concept of no and what realistically happens in the real world to most agents. We talked a little bit about this when we first connected, which is you don't always get an actual no, right? Sometimes you just get the uncomfortable silence. How do you deal with that? Because we interpret that just internally, like in our way deep down in our lizard brain, that is rejection, right?
Right.
So how do you deal with that?
Absolutely. Well, silence is horrible. I mean, it is the worst. And so that's why I try to tell people, no is a perfectly acceptable answer. And we all know that we'd rather get a no than nothing that have the silence. So there's kind of two things, ways of thinking about go for no. It's quality and quantity, right? Quantity is the number of calls that you're making. And if you have a problem in your business, that's how no goals fixes it. It fixes it from a quantity standpoint. Get out there and start making and having more conversations. Start telling your story to more people. Start making more calls, right? Whether it's follow-up calls, new calls, it doesn't matter. The second thing is quality. And that's kind of what you're talking about with the silence is what can you do to have people connect with you, build that relationship so that you have that quality interaction so you don't get that silence where people just don't drift off, they don't fall off. So, and that is really where becoming and building your skills as an agent comes in. So it's different for every kind of business or industry, right? But fundamentally, at the very base, the advice I give people, no matter what business they're in, is kind of do a little bit of a takeaway. So it's, hey, I've been following up with you. I left you a message on Monday. I left you a message on Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and take you off my list because I haven't heard from you, or I'm going to, however you want to phrase it, kind of pull it back. And I'm really busy. I've got things going all weekend. And so I won't be calling you back. But if you are ready, if you want to go ahead, please give me a call back and let's make sure that we take the next step. So, and then put them aside and put them on a follow-up campaign. So it's kind of this try one last time, do a little bit of a takeaway. And oftentimes people will, when they see that you're done, you're not chasing them anymore, they'll contact you.
That's interesting, Greg. You've talked about the pullback method in a variety of different kind of sales scenarios, but I like that application of it.
No, 100%. I mean, it's one of my favorite things to do because, in all honesty, you're protecting your time. But because if they don't want what you're offering at that moment, that's okay. But I mean, if you don't want to be a pest either. So I think that's one of the better things because if I kept going after you, Julie, and your three obese little wood-denting, insulin-sucking little children, well, no, they're not so little. I mean, they are like 400 to 500 pounds each. But I mean, if I was to keep going after you to sell you guys a mini house, probably not going to fit you guys in. But if you're going for a large house, you probably respond to me because you like what I'm offering. So you might want to change your offer at times. And, you know, in silence has been one of my biggest advantages in negotiations because if it does get to that awkward silence, the brain can only go 36 seconds without a thought going through it. That's why people just start chattering away like drunk monkeys because they have to give the brain something to stimulate itself. And so if you can hold yourself back and just know that if you're quiet, you're going to be able to control the conversation because the other person is going to start talking and they're going to start talking themselves into or out of whatever you're working on, you know, to talk with them because they're going to come up with solutions. And it can be awkward. It can be very awkward. Like first dates, awkward. But, you know, it is, you know, if you can just, you know, tie yourself down and be quiet, it's amazing. It's amazing.
It is amazing. I totally agree with you. And that so there's silence from both sides, right? There's the silence that people don't call you back and they're not picking up your calls or whatever, but silence sells. I mean, silence totally sells. And Richard, I know he always says, he loves to say the first person who speaks loses. And so you do have to be comfortable with that. Once you propose something, especially if you're in kind of a back and forth negotiation, and if you're kind of like, well, what if we could do this, this, and this? Shut up and just be quiet, right? And just let that person, because that person is thinking about your offer. And they're thinking all kinds of things. They're thinking about their finances and what could they shift money from here to there? And can they ask their brother-in-law? And they're coming up with all these plans. And if you jump in there, now you just derailed that person. So you just you shut up and it does absolutely work.
You know, the funny thing is, Andrea, we have had other guests on here talking about how to be an introvert and be in real estate, and then how, like me, I'm a high D, high I. So the S's and C's. Are you familiar with the DISC profile? I'm sure you are, but
yes.
The S's and C's, I run over them like a steamroller. I'm just boom, 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 and just keep going because I don't wait.
There a speed bump underneath your 4x4 Jeep.
Yeah. They're kind of, I always joke around when I was single. I would always say like, oh, that chick's hot. You know what? Well, she's got a boyfriend. My cousin turns to me one day and goes, boyfriends are like speed bumps. You slow down, but you still run the fucker over. And I'm like, oh, that's funny. But I mean, being able to slow it down, Andrea, like you were just saying, and let the other person process is so important. And I've had to learn to do that. And I think once people get that and they learn silence is their friend, and to let someone chew on it for a half a second, you don't need an instant reaction from them. It's incredible. Because you get to, like Matt will sit there. By the way, guys, if you ever talk to Matt and he's just sitting there quietly and just nodding and just letting you talk, he's actually manipulating you because he just lets you kind of just talk yourself into a hole. I know where you're coming from, Johnson, and I'm on to you.
Where did that come from?
You made a comment on a number of shows ago, like, yeah, just let people talk and let them feel that they're more important in the conversation. Then I summarily smack them down. I'm like, that's what he's been doing to us, our entire business relationship.
Man, I don't remember that. That must have been very context specific.
He let his secret out when his guard was down.
And then Greg
ninja
just shouted it out to the world.
Yes, I did. And your phone number is 402. No, I'm not kidding.
Okay, thank you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's talk about. Yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I was just gonna say, getting back to the book.
Yeah.
I think I saw myself as the character, which is your husband, in the beginning when I first started in real estate. And I thought it was incredible because he had to go through a major trauma to then come to a realization. And that I think a lot of people can resonate with that part. Did you guys mean to put that in there for that part, or was that just an easy transformation, because it was a fictional book?
So one of the things that we knew was we wanted people to, like you said, I'm so glad to hear that. We wanted people to identify with the character. So we made him, just an average normal person who was married, who had to take out the trash. And some people will say like, I don't understand why, we have to see this stupid scene where he's in bed with his wife and they argue about the trash day and stuff. Well, that is very intentional because we want you to identify with him and see that he's an average guy who gets thrown into this kind of weird situation where he meets a future version of himself, learns the epiphany and learns what he missed in his life, where the more successful version of him, of course, got the message. So that was intentional. And as we talked about before the show, we wanted to write a fictional, a fable so that people would not just get the concepts, but they would be entertained. And I think by entertaining people, that helps them remember the concepts. Richard and I love supernatural, paranormal. One of our favorite movies of all time was the Sixth Sense. So that's why this book has this little bit of supernaturalness to it, where you're like, this can't be real, but on the other hand, so it is kind of taking you to this other world where we want to entertain you and have you finish the book and go like, oh my God, I can do Go for No. And that was an amazing book because it was fun and entertaining and easy to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it really is. I mean, I thought it was absolutely fantastic. But there's something there that I want everyone to think about. Now, the book is entertaining, it's educational, it's good, it's fun, it's short. You can do it in an hour and think 18 minutes on Audible. But you guys, you are the sole sum of every decision you've made in your life to this moment. So, speaking about the two characters, the present self and the future self, right? What decisions have you made in your present self that your potential future self didn't or did do, where you could hit that Y and you're going to take two different roads in life, down the one you're currently going and down the one you want to go down? Where in your mind, where in your life have you ever, can you think back and be like, oh, I really shouldn't have smoked that weed in front of the cop? Or, maybe I should have gone to that sales conference. Maybe I shouldn't have done this last beer. But wonder where those were and where you could be, because it's about transformation, isn't it, Andrea? About how you can change your future by a single decision, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, we all encounter those decisions every day. Sometimes they're small, sometimes they're big decisions. We wanted to kind of focus on the idea that this character learned this lesson of, hey, you had this experience. You were told your fear of the word no is the only thing standing between you and success, you and greatness. If you could just learn to hear no more often, you could be a great salesperson. The one version went, okay, whatever, and moved on with his life. The more successful version went, oh, just hear no. So if I'm just willing to hear no often, and we wanted people to really get that, because for us, I think that's one of the biggest decisions in life is, hey, you can achieve virtually anything, not everything, that you're going after if you're just willing to hear no often enough. And so, but we do, Greg. You're so right. There's decisions every day, and we think that this is one that's so big, and we all have this choice.
You're right, Matt. That's good advice for your dating life. Remember, go for the no. It's okay. Sorry, man, I had to.
I'm going to keep that in mind. Okay. So, Andrew, there's a really great example in the book that I'd love for you to share, go a little bit deeper on, because it's something that I think that as much as we've talked about the book, we haven't really done a great job of articulating this particular part of it. And it's the concept of, you alluded to it a little bit earlier in the idea of setting no goals. But I want you to there's a great example where you contrast that with what most people do, where they do set a goal for what they want. They set a goal for the number of yeses, the number of appointments, the number of leads, whatever the case is. And you kind of explain how you get just a little bit off track and it starts to kind of cause all these cascading problems, but going for no fixes all that. So I'd love to hear your take on that.
So, and I think you're kind of also relating to the whole idea of what happens when people just focus on their quotas.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly.
Exactly. And we have all kind of been taught and trained, I think, to go for yes, right? It's like everybody wants to be successful. No one wants to fail. And in the book, we use the word no and failure very interchangeably, because if you get a no, you have, quote, failed. And as adults, we all do everything we can to avoid failure. As kids, we're so great at failure. Failure is just let me get on my bike, let me fall off until I get this right, let me climb the tree, I'll fall off with my friends, it'll be great. It's just failure is just an everyday thing. We think nothing of it. As adults, we're so protective. So I think what happens is we end up setting, yes goals of, all right, let me see. And it becomes self-defeating because it becomes really your comfort zone starts shrinking and it becomes very limiting. So it's all right, I'm going to get 5 yeses, or I'm going to make $100,000 this month. And then it's or maybe just 4. No, maybe just 3 yeses and this much money, and it just starts shrinking. Your comfort zone really starts shrinking in. So no goals forces you to just say, to stay in action and say, I'm going to prospect and reach out to 20 new customers and hear no. I'm going to follow up with 20 people from my past and have them tell me no. I'm going to call 20 current customers and get 20 no's on referrals. There's all different ways that you can build those no's. But that limitation of always having to live in a go for yes world, which is I've got to set a goal for yeses, and that's what I want to achieve, and that's how I measure my success. We're saying, no, measure your success by your activity, measure it by your action, and then reward yourself from that. Don't just reward yourself on the yeses.
There's that. Do you see people change fundamentally when they have the micro wins of getting that no versus getting the no and then trying to convert it into a yes when it's ultimately going to always be a no?
Yeah, definitely micro wins. I'll tell you what I see most often, and this is, I think, what I love is you see that people survive. I think a lot of people who need go for no are very, very anxious, fear-filled, and think that no is kind of the end of the world. When they start going for no and they realize this isn't so bad, this is not that big of a deal. I had this belief that this was such an epic, horrible thing that if I failed and got lots of no's, I would be devastated. I would never survive. And before I knew it, I would be living under the freeway overpass and my life would be over. And then they see I'm surviving and I'm learning how to deal with no's and I'm actually getting some yeses. I'm experiencing some success. So the mindset shift is what I love. One of my favorite stories was actually from a guy who hired Richard and I. We did a presentation for him in Portland, Oregon. He had a seminar company and he would sell seminar like tickets to personal development seminars to companies. And he loved Go for No. And I remember one day he called us and it was a Friday afternoon, very much like today. And he called us up and he said, "You guys won't believe it." He goes, I ruined my no goal this week. He said it was like 5:00 on Friday afternoon. He called this guy that he had been calling on just to get his 10th no. And he knew that this guy would just say no as usual. That was always the plan. So he was just ready to like call it a day, get his 10th no. So he calls up this guy and the guy's like, "Mike, I'm so glad to hear from you. I was just thinking about you. I'm finally ready. Let's get this thing signed up." And Mike goes, "I couldn't believe it." He goes, "I was excited." He said, "But I was actually kind of disappointed and like frustrated. Like today is the day this guy finally says yes to me." So
that's funny.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah, I think the two things are people's mindset can change quickly, but their confidence level shifts, which is what I like, because I think if you can build your confidence around this particular issue, you guys, I think it kind of bleeds into everything that you do. I think, I mean, we all know when you're more confident in everything you do. You feel more capable to tackle all of the other projects and things that you need to do in your life.
Yeah, the mindset is really powerful. And then it's Friday. Well, I don't know if it's this week. Yeah, it was this week. Earlier this week, I was doing my calls, and forgive me for this, but I got 2 go fuck yourselves, like almost back to back on my calls. And most people are like, "Oh, I can't believe you just said that to me." I busted out laughing so hard, I almost started crying because I got such a kick out of it. Everyone that was watching me, you can see the numbers like pause, like, "Oh my God, what is he going to do with this?" Right. But I laughed so hard. And then in turn, I got to meet, where is she? Vicky. Since my mindset was such in a good place, I moved right through, the negative individuals out there. But I got to Vicky, who has MS. She is, a few other ailments, but she's the happiest human being. And I had the opportunity to talk to her because I moved through, the negativity that's out there. And it made my day. I mean, it really transformed my entire opinion. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Pretty good. I'm glad those 2 people I paid finally paid off. Man alive, it's about time. I mean, I've been waiting for you to call them. Goodness, like I had to hire those actresses. There was casting calls. Like I had to listen to FUs like all day for like 8 hours a day just to find the right 2 people just to plant in your area.
The right tone, that real deep delivery of hatred.
Right tone. Yeah, what I love about, among many things I love about listening to Greg's cold calls sometimes is, Greg, when you get that, didn't you, what is that, the word that you use to sign off with whenever you get somebody that tells you no or tells you to screw off?
Toodles.
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 Get someone rude or something like that.
It's great. It's like a pattern interrupt for your brain. It's like, all right, it makes you laugh and it forces you to like, okay, that's not a big deal. Moving on.
Right. Or the other one is if someone's really kind of being rude, I'll just say, "All right, so the reason why I'm calling right meow is the fact that homes is sold," and I throw the meow in there, and you see the people like, "What? Meow? Oh? Did you say meow?" But
I haven't heard that.
You haven't?
Oh man, no.
But see, what this all is, guys? It's all about making it humorous to hear the word no. Someone's rude, have some fun, and just enjoy the process of getting to that next no. But back to the book, and I want to talk a little bit about. I was fascinated in the book. In the very end of it, we're not going to go there yet. The very end of it ties everything together, and I thought that was magical how you put it together for me, because I have a dream board here, and I'm starting to see my dreams actually come true. But then how he saw his future and how that came to be in his future life because of his different decision after he came out of his future viewing. But the conversations at Pebble Beach are really interesting. If we could talk about those for a little bit, because I think those 2 conversations and then all of them having drinks was one of the best parts of the book. I thought it was so powerful.
Okay, remind me of that. No, I'm just kidding. Yes. Well, I mean, the most important conversation I think that we have, and this is kind of, we wanted to hit every kind of hot button, right? In terms of, okay, implementing Go for No is setting no goals, and then it's, all right, how do you keep people's momentum going? And that really comes down to recognizing and rewarding people for the no's that they get, and that I think is what you're referring to in that conversation. And it is so important, I think, for managers to do it, for managers to celebrate. Managers are very good at running over and congratulating the person that had the big win, and it's very obvious. The person who's been in the back, though, who's making dial after dial after dial, who is turning, hopefully, and can turn that invested time into profitable time later, assuming that you're getting leads and you're having some conversations and or not. Maybe you're just getting no after no, and yet you're burning through them. And that has to be celebrated. That has to be rewarded. And those no's have to be recognized. And it's so easy for managers to ignore that. I will say this also, which I don't think we really allude to in the book because we were really looking at it from kind of a managerial standpoint. But for entrepreneurs, for people who are just on their own, you have to get better at rewarding yourself for no's. You have to get better at it. It's very easy to go out and buy yourself a great dinner when you hit the big yes. We all do it, right? Yeah. It's changing your mindset and rewarding yourself for the activity that you do and for the no's that you got, and saying, hey, and maybe a few of those no's, once you get skilled at handling them, will turn into yeses. And I know that's something that we haven't talked about, you guys, but one of the big things that in Go for No also, which is something we don't dig into in the book, which is, what do you do when you get that no? Can you turn that around? Does it have to be no for never? Oftentimes it's, all right, no for now. Hey, do you mind if I check back with you in 6 months to see if something's changed? Getting that permission to check back with those people.
Andrea, you're a genius. You know what? You just gave me an idea for a new script. Because when I get my next no, I'm going to do call. I'm like inspired to get off the podcast right now and go do calls. Because every time I get no, I'm not going to be thinking about selling my house. Great. Is there an opportunity I can call you in 6 months and see how you're doing? Just throw that in there and just see what kind of answers I can get.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
Well, and to use that example, Greg, I mean, and so you're taking that no, and I tell people to visualize it sometimes as a gift. If you can visualize it as a gift and figure out, okay, what do I do with it? Where do I put it? Where do I set it down? Do I put it on the shelf? Do I open it? And think of it as a gift, and then say, all right, so now what's the next step? Is it just like, okay, great, thanks, bye? In some cases, if you get an FU, I guess in that case, I would say yes. It's probably a good hang up. You say meow and hang up, or whatever the plan is. And then, but for a lot of people, it's and a lot of the businesses that we deal with Richard and I in just consumer sales or direct selling, it's people have a lot of fear. And they don't want to make a change. And they don't necessarily, a lot of times, don't even necessarily telling you the truth. They just don't want to tell you because they know you're going to sell them something. And so in that moment, that with their guard maybe a little down, it's, yeah, you can check back with me in 6 months. Or, no, I plan on living in this house for the rest of my natural life. Don't ever call me again, which is also fabulous. You got that great no, and now you can really set them aside and never contact them again.
Absolutely, because it's a waste of time if you keep. I mean, I get told all the time, no, I'm going to die here. They're going to take me out feet first. I'm like, fantastic. That's not going to be today, is it? Okay, good. and I love that.
Oh, man.
What's some of the most unique rewards you've heard of from the people that love your book and follow what you guys are teaching? What's some of the coolest things that they do when they hit their no goals for the week? Do they take themselves to dinner, get themselves a massage? I mean, give us some ideas of what people do.
Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is everything I hear is exactly what people do when they get a yes or you hit their yes goals, right? It's you just transfer everything that you would do from the yeses. So it's all of that. Vacations, cars. We've heard shopping trips. I mean, all of it. It's which is why not too long ago we were speaking somewhere, and that's kind of how I explained it to the audience was just transfer kind of all your typical yes rewards to your no goal rewards.
But that's so important in our business, because in real estate, it's such a long tail play. I mean, traditionally, it's a 30-day escrow. So it's 30 days until we see the completion of something. And if you can give yourself a reward on a daily or weekly basis for accomplishing and achieving your goals, that will then reinforce the fact of your long-term goals. Like if I keep doing this on a daily basis, then I'm going to get that client, then I'm going to be able to list that home or get that buyer and do something that's going to put a payday on you. But you give that positive dopamine drip into your brain that this is fun, this is good, this is exciting, this is okay, so you won't stop. So many people just get sucked dry with negativity and rejection because they feel that they're being told no.
They do,
the product is being told no.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I started off a little while ago and saying, the programming of where we have all come from, which is you have to get yes, you have to be successful, don't get a no, and then the negative reinforcement in your head of, oh my gosh, I got another no, this is horrible, I'm never going to make it. It's all of those negative messages. So it's putting something in place of those negative messages, because that's why I think everybody hates rejection, is it becomes a mantra of, oh, I hate rejection, I hate hearing no. I remember being at a sales conference, and I met a guy who was at a trade show booth, and he was talking to me, and he's like, oh yeah, I could never be a salesperson. I just hate the rejection. And I'm like, you're at a sales conference in a trade show booth. What are you talking about? I mean, so people just they hate it. It just becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy mantra repeating over and over. I can't handle it. I can't handle it. So replace it with something else.
Well, definitely. I think it goes back to being willing to be like a child again. And that just that feeling of, like kids don't take it, and we do this all the time as adults, like, hey, I suck at surfing, or I suck at X, whatever the case is. And we, because we're not good at it. I played ukulele the other night for the first time. I am not a naturally talented ukulele player. I know everyone is shocked.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Please pick your jaws up off the ground. You think the guitar and bass skills would translate over to a four-stringed instrument? You'd be incorrect. Anyway, point of that being, if I wanted to, that doesn't mean anything about me as a person, though, right? So the fact that I didn't pick it up as naturally as quickly as I would like, if you allow that to hit your self-esteem, then you're not going to do it again. But that's not how kids are. They don't take it as, I can't remember who said it. It might have actually been Jay Samit, Greg, on the show, in reference to disruption and innovation, to something to the effect of kids don't fall down 5 times and then declare, walking's just not for me. It's just, I'm not a walker. I'm not a walker. I'm more of a crawler. That's more my speed. I'm more of a crawler. But we do that all the time, right? So we try something, or we hear no's, and we let it hit our identity. I think that's what gives people so much trouble, is they let it hit at the identity level of who they are, and they take a self-esteem hit. And I think that's where Go for No helps, because you start to distance yourself from the no. They're not saying, everybody knows that phrase. They're not saying no to you. They're saying no to the offer. We all understand that up here. We don't understand it down here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's where Go for No, I think, really helps.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also having a vision of where you're going. It really helps a lot as well. And, I know we're getting close to the end here, and I don't want to let her go. We have to have her back, Matt. I want to keep her. She's awesome.
Help me. No, I'm just kidding.
Is there an exit button? I'm just going to slowly shrink out of frame. Yeah. But at the end of the book, this is a really cool part. At the very end, so he sees his future self go on stage and give this huge speech in front of 5,000 people or something, or some mega thing. Trips, falls, knocks him in the head again. He comes back to reality, and everything transforms in his life because of this. What he saw. Either the chubby, kind of out of shape, not the best version of him, or this rock star pilot, mega speaker, super entrepreneur, just winner in life. He changes his life, takes immediate action in his life, changes take place, and he does the follow-up. What was he on, the 5th or the 6th follow-up on the very last account
Right.
that he did?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And he walks in, he has a discussion with this guy. The guy tells him, no. The guy, he kept going through his nose, going through his system, stands up, looks at the picture, and he goes on the guy's wall and goes, you know what? I bet that's taken on the 8th hole of whatever country club. And the guy's like, yeah, how'd you know that? And he's like, that's in your living room. Freaked him out. He's like, next thing, when you sell that, I'm going to be your buyer, because he already saw it take place, and that triggered something in me. And I'm like, visualization and having a dream and knowing where you're going to know and go and have an emotional reaction to it will bring it into your reality faster than you can imagine. And I love that part. No joke, I went back and listened to that last part probably 10 times in a row, because it really resonated with me. And
That's awesome.
Getting the Jeep and everything else it's a real life scenario for me, that dreams do come true, and it's not just in books. It really does happen.
That's awesome. I love that. Richard will be thrilled to hear that. I will tell him your story. Good.
Did you guys is that an actual house you guys bought, or is that just fictional?
No, that is fictional. The golf course, we made up the house. The golf course is obviously real, and and it's funny. The guy, the VP of I think it was Callaway Golf, is who he was calling on. Yeah. So we actually sent like a couple books to Callaway, and nobody wrote us back. We're like, we put you guys in our book. Come on. We're like, whatever.
Well, they obviously don't have a vision for greatness, okay?
Apparently not, but that's okay.
Too bad. All right, so before we keep you any longer, Andrea, remind people of where they can go to connect with you guys.
GoForNo.com. It's easy.
Perfect.
Oh, this is not a no. Go buy the freaking book. All right? You will literally thank me. You'll thank Andrea for writing it, but go buy the damn book. And I don't get paid to say that. I'm just saying that it will change your mindset. If you're new in the business, if you're getting back in the business, if you are afraid of calling or door knocking, if you're afraid of talking to another human, Matt, and you're agoraphobe, Matt, and you stay at home, Matt, this will be a great opportunity to get that first no, to learn it's okay. It will change your mindset. Andrea, thank you beyond words for being on the show today. I really had a good time with you.
Thanks, you guys. You guys are so much fun.
Well, thank you.
We enjoyed it very, very much. And guys, for those of us who have been following us, we've been working on some interesting things behind the scenes in terms of a kind of a group mastermind. We'll have more details on that coming soon. We don't have a place to send you guys for that yet, but I can tell you that there will be an element of that, which will be like a book club, where once a week out of that month, one of the sessions will be focused on going through a book, including Go for No and some of our other favorites. And so, guys, I mean, seriously, take advantage of it. Go read it now. That way you're reading and rereading and rereading it by the time we get to that part of the open mastermind. Because, yeah, we are going to cover that. We're going to focus on that book because it is that big of a mindset shift. But as far as us, like connecting with us, make sure just to connect with both of us on Facebook. You can follow us. Make sure, if you haven't already, go like the Facebook page for Real Estate Uncensored. Keep up with us there. And then if you guys need to know what to say, myfavoritescripts.com. Greg, we don't talk about this often enough. myfavoritescripts.com, absolutely free. It's all of Greg's scripts, his real best stuff, and each one has not only the script written out, but a link to the video where I have him role play through it with me so that you can hear the phrasing and the tonality, so that you can listen to it over and over and over again and really get it like internalized. So that's 100% free. So go there, myfavoritescripts.com, and grab that.
Well, Matt, don't forget about it. We can't skim over this. We are running a super secret. This is not a joke. We're running a super secret. We just launched it a few minutes before we got on the show. Program with a good friend of ours, Nick, and we are anticipating a very large result on this, like in the thousands in 48 hours. We will tell you guys on Monday's show how we did, and it's really freaking exciting, by the way.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool kind of Facebook marketing experiment that Nick brought to our attention. So Nick Sackis, who we had on the show before, he's gonna come back on the show on Monday and share the results, guys. So don't miss that. So come back on the weekend. If you're listening to this after the fact, I'm very sorry. Go find Monday's episode after this and go listen to the results, and we'll see how it turns out. But with that said, guys, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. Make sure to subscribe on iTunes and YouTube and Stitcher, depending on whether you want the audio or video version, so that it's nestled between your ears where we so belong.
Yes, so deep. But
Yeah.
give us a review, 5-star review, guys. Andrea,
that's
any
right.
last words before we close this thing out?
I would just say practice go for no everywhere and anywhere. You can do it in every aspect of your life. So when presented with the opportunity to ask, and don't talk yourself out of it and say, oh, they're just going to say no. Just go for no. Try it.
Go for no, guys. You heard it from the master. As always, guys, we'll see you on the next episode. But until then, peace out, ninjas. We gone.